This is the Wrestling Bar. We're back, and this is episode number 6. And today we're going to talk about the new program from the WWE called WWE ID, Independent Development. The
Yes.
news broke last week, and I think this is something similar to Neil, right? Next in line, which is, Neil is focused on athletes. This one is gonna be focused on independent wrestlers, right? So based on what I've read, they're basically giving kind of their stamp of approval to a couple of, indie wrestling companies out there or schools. I've heard that Booker T's a school in Texas is part of it. The Nightmare Factory from Cody Rhodes in Atlanta is part of it. As well as well as a company in California, I believe it is, that is
Right.
owned by Rikishi,
Yes.
and then there's one in Concord, New Hampshire. I think it's related to Triple H because it's one of the trainees from who trained Triple H. You remember?
Oof. I gotta go
Um,
back.
yeah. So it's related to Triple H in some way.
Makes sense.
Uh, yeah. So, any thoughts, Phil?
I think this is awesome. I love seeing developmental pipelines, with the brink of things. Um, I don't feel like it's a separate venture for, WWE. I love to go back to, when superstars come to the main or get the call from the main. If I hadn't been watching NXT for a couple weeks, I can always go back and look at their progression throughout the entire process to see how they've been improving, their promos and things of that nature. I love it. They did a couple things right with this. One thing that they did right that I really appreciate is they brought Mark Henry back for this.
Yes.
And Mark Henry has, and Mark, if you're listening to this podcast, shout out to you, brother. Talented, world's strongest man. Can't deny it. You're on my Mount Rushmore, by the way, of favorite wrestlers of all time. Not just because of what you do inside the ring, but because of what you've done outside of the ring as far as developing talent. And I think that the people that do graduate this program or come through this program are going to be, they're going to be ready. They're gonna look ready. They're gonna look believable. That's our biggest feedback for some of the indies wrestlers, right? Is that 90% of them just don't look ready to be on a WrestleMania stage,
Oh,
right?
yes.
They're not ready to captivate us at that level. And I even at an NXT level, right? I mean, let's be real. Roxy is a good example of that, right? She's exceptional. Um, and I really think she could be on that stage one day. They're building her in NXT, of course, which is great, and I love it. Um, but they're building up this heel character for her. But anyway, I love the fact that there's developmental talent. I even go back at times to watch the FCW and um, you know all the European developmental brands that there were before, right? So I can go back and see all the wrestlers before. We can go see 300-pound Gunther, right?
Hmm.
Literally chopping the crap out of somebody. And now you see the progression now. So I'm one that really appreciates this for what it is. And it's really, really great for me to see them develop characters, try new things. Um, and also, when they have a gimmick, they don't necessarily have to be locked into that gimmick. I think I saw a video from one of the members on this chat, Shavit, on the podcast team, and he sent out the first Husky Harris promo, right? Remember
Oh,
that? Like
yes.
that was
Yes.
amazing. Husky Harris, right? To go from Husky Harris, you know, to the
To the ear of
Fiend,
worlds.
right?
Yeah.
To just Sister Abigail, just everything. It's just amazing to see his full progression, right? Rest his soul. But it's just nice to be able to have that type of repository and not have to go buy the rights to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Sit
I
back
yeah,
home and
yeah. I love how they've been posting in Twitter
yeah,
the WWE ID prospects,
yeah,
and you get to see them there. And as I was telling you before, I like to think that I have a talent to not maybe identify who's gonna be great at it, but just who's gonna be bad.
right,
That who's not, doesn't have the face or the look or whatever it is, the
right,
aura, they say, the kids say these days, right? The aura to make it, right? To be good at this.
right.
So from all the ones that they've posted, I think all of them are good except one of the girls. I didn't, pop up to me.
Right.
But I'm liking what I'm seeing, right? So I'm glad that they're doing this.
I want to see what they have to say, and I want to, if they post some things on X, I'll be more than willing to watch some stuff. And with Raw and with SmackDown going to 3 hours, right? Maybe they get
Yep,
a segment or something like that to have a match against a local talent, right?
yep,
We
yep,
we got to go back to the days of WWE superstars,
yep,
right? And WCW, right? They would just go fight the local talent, and or that particular new upstart would win the Intercontinental Championship, right? Which that's how it started, folks.
hmm
Uh, 1, 2, 3 kid. I watched that match. I was, glued, right? We were
yep,
glued when Santino beat Umaga, right?
yep,
That,
yep,
that that's epic. That was actually the last time that's ever happened, which really upsets me because that's
yeah,
the type of matches that I want. But I hope that something like that happens with some of these ID prospects. We had something similar, right? When Sami Zayn debuted and fought John Cena in the match, with the
yes,
US Open Challenge, right? So that's what I'm hoping, we can continue to have. I love NXT. Um, and I love, a pipeline of developmental talent. And I think that that's one of the things that I believe AEW is really lacking in. And if they were to really take Daly's place or something like that and just make it their home and just foster the talent for what it is. You have so much TV time you can just dedicate to just giving us that excitement.
yep,
I can appreciate Al Snow what he's doing in OVW, right? Just for that one reason alone. They're just there in town. They're pushing, they're plugging away, they're training, but I'm glad that we have our own little pipeline. We have NXT, don't get me wrong, which is a great
yep,
show and it's amazing. But it's a show, right? And it's made for that type of it's evolved into something that's completely it's a new brand on its own.
right,
I like getting back down to the nitty gritty and the grassroots. I don't necessarily want to see perfectly refined wrestling all the time from a
right,
WWE. I want to see how that developmental process really looks like. Um, and then really see that progression because that's how the black and gold. That's why we love black and gold NXT so much because we weren't given Seth freaking Rollins. We were given Seth Rollins, right? He was
hmm
good,
hmm
but he wasn't WrestleMania
the
Seth
two
Rollins.
color two color hair
Right,
winning the title.
cashing in on Brock Lesnar. He wasn't there yet, but we get to see that progression. Roman, I mean, 180, right, compared to what he is now.
Yeah,
Um, so even Rock, when he was in FCW, right, was like, who is this kid? And now we know, of course. But so I like to go back and see how they've progressed. So I'm looking forward to seeing this, and I hope they add a couple more. I do like when they also have the college recruits too,
hmm
even though a lot of them
Neil.
just haven't been some of them haven't been successful. Um,
So I think from that program you're talking about Neil, right? Next in line.
yeah,
I think Femi came from that.
yes, he did.
I think Tiffany Stratton maybe
Yes,
came from that.
yes,
So I mean, there's a couple ones very good, and there's a bunch still right being developed.
right,
There's a bunch of girls like Harley Bright and Kendall Gray. I think all of them came from that program.
Right,
So
right,
I think it's paying off.
right.
I think it's a great idea,
No,
and I
absolutely.
do. Yeah, I do want to touch on a couple of things you said. So I'm talking about Osno and OVW.
Right.
I was surprised that they didn't pick OVW for one of the WWE ID prospect schools yet, right? It could
Mhm.
change,
Yeah.
but they did notably, right? Notably, they didn't have that one, and they didn't have. I think the Dudleys. They also
Yeah,
have a school,
they do.
so interesting, right? Especially with all the work that they're doing with Devon is part of WWE. He's an agent or a coach or something.
Oh, Dia Devon, yeah.
Devon Dudley, right? And
He's
recently they worked with Bubba Ray
right.
on NXT,
Hmm.
Bully Ray. So I was surprised by them not being part of that deal yet, right? At least
Yeah, I'm
yet.
surprised too. Um, but who's there to come? I mean, OVW, I think is kind of like special for the Ohio Valley, right? They want to kind of keep it that way, but
Yeah.
I do like, I do tend to watch it from time to time. I like MLW. I'm surprised they didn't pick anybody from, they didn't pick anybody from MLW.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, MLW is bigger than a normal indie because they have some distribution.
right.
So maybe they see them, and didn't they win a recent lawsuit? There's no way they're
Yeah.
going to add MLW ever to anything WWE.
I mean,
Uh,
but Jacob
yeah,
Fatu, right? That's like, that was his home, right? And
yeah, they're gonna
he
steal their
loved it.
talent, but they're not gonna add
Yeah.
WWE, MLW to WWE ID. I
Yeah.
don't think so. I don't
No.
think so. The other thing, Mark Henry, right? What an eye for talent. He's great at it. I'm glad he's back. It seems that William Regal is also involved in the program. So you have two bees, working on this, and that they know how
Yeah.
to identify talent and how to bring them. Oh, that's what they do. That's
That's
what
what
they
they
do.
do. But yeah, I'm really, like I said, I'm really excited about this pipeline of talent. I would love to see more appearances maybe by them or have a match, um, like during the main event. Like we talked about main event, WWE main event is still going on. It'd be nice if they had a match against like a local talent, every once every like quarter or something, or just have the
Yeah,
PLE week or something. They may have like a developmental match or something. That's cool. Or to go to, I think they're getting rid of the NXT Upstart
level
show.
up, level up.
Level Up,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
level up. Yeah.
you know, that way they get some experience with being on camera and how to, really, really perfect this thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I've always heard that wrestlers need to wrestle frequently to avoid injuries, which is sounds kind of like an oxymoron, right? But but the more you wrestle, the more you condition your body to not get
right.
injured. So that's why the house shows and all that kind of helps. Now they're cutting down on house shows significantly. WWE has been so maybe, other than the NXT show, they're doing this thing with TNA, right? Maybe they can
Right.
be part of those shows. Now with these schools and things like that, maybe they can start
Yeah.
getting those hours in, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling and kind of getting in front of different crowds in different areas and getting that exposure. So maybe that's one of the reasons they're doing this.
Yeah.